Welcome to Boring Money, Rich Life. I'm your host, Joy Hicks, and today we're going to talk about overspending because earlier today I met with my financial planner who is working on a financial plan for me. And when I tell you the dose of reality that I had today, when she walked me through like my income and then she walked me through my expenses and my cash flow. So I feel like sometimes it's very hard to budget because we're not really honest with ourselves about how much we spend. When I first started working with my financial planner, she set me up with this program called Monarch Money. And what it does, you connect it to all of your bank accounts and it'll track everything that you spend and it sends it directly to your financial planners. And it's not that they're like spying on you or anything, it's just so that way they can get a true, like accurate, I guess, recollection of what it is that you actually spend per month. And then not only do they look at your current spending, they're able to go a year back and look at all of your previous statements. So obviously, I have been overspending, and I spent last year alone $8,000, over $8,000 just in travel. And the crazy thing is, it's not like I went out of the country or anything like that. Like in August, I took my daughter to Chicago for the first time. In October, it was my 30th birthday. So I went to Miami with my family and my best friend. And then in November, I went to Houston for Afrotech. And when I tell you, I wouldn't have even thought I spent anywhere close to $8,000. But I will say, me, I'm the type of person, when I am on vacation, I like to be comfortable. So that means I want a hotel that's convenient so I can get to where I need to go easily. I want to go to all the restaurants. I want to get a drink. I want to enjoy myself, especially for my 30th. Like I had a yacht, and obviously all those things add up. And when I tell you, I probably felt like I spent less on travel this year. So I don't even want to see how much I spent in 2023 because that year I went to Beyonce. I think we went to Philly that year. We went to Atlantic City, like New York. I was all over the place. So if I spent $8,000 in 2024, I could only imagine how much I spent in the years before that. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you guys is because I feel like some of us really don't realize how much money that we're spending. And that's why so many of us, at the end of the month, we're like, dang, where did all of this money go? Because we don't really, in the moment, just think about all of those things. So I don't know if Monarch Money is a free program, but you can definitely look into it to kind of get yourself starting to track how much you spend because I feel like that's the only way that you can actually create a budget. Because in our head, we're like, oh, I spend maybe 500 a month on food. I spend maybe 200 a month on eating out. And then when you actually see an itemized list of how much you spend, like that's the dose of reality that that some of us need because I feel like that's the only way we can kind of get in control of our finances. And I've said before, money is very psychological. And when we start to talk about money, especially our spending and overspending, a lot of times we have like this inner turmoil because it's like we don't want to be restricted and then we don't want to feel judged, right? But in order to start fueling our rich life, we have to start being very honest with ourselves. Like there's not going to be any way that we can save for retirement or save for investing when all of our money is going to all of these different expenses. Mind you, that was $8,000 just on travel. Okay, so that's not the money that I spend for going out to eat. That's not the money that I spend to get my hair done. That's not the money that I spend on my nails. That's not the money, like I didn't realize I spend that much money, but now I can be honest with myself and be like, girl, it's time to cut back. And now I see where all this extra money is going. And the one thing that I really like about my financial planner is she was like, well, maybe don't do 3 trips. Maybe let's drop it down to 2 trips a year. Like she's not making it like, oh my gosh, you absolutely can't travel anymore. You spent way too much. Because she was like, you know what? If you cut back on a couple of things, you're still good. You're still able to save, you know. But I told her that I wanted to try to retire a little earlier. And I'll make a separate video about that because that was also a dose of reality for me. But she was like, you know, you're doing good. It's just, hey, let's drop this down. So I'm already planning a trip. Like, I already have a trip planned for next month. Not like a huge thing, but just like seeing some family and stuff. And I'm gonna try really hard, like really, really hard, to only do one other trip this year. Now, if you know me, that is very difficult because I am always on a flight. But because I'm trying to fuel my rich life, I'm like, I need to get honest with myself and pull back. I wanted to share that with you guys because that is definitely the first step into, again, saving, getting better with your money, preparing for investing. You have to have a true picture of where you are today. Because think about it when you're starting your weight loss journey, right? If you ever worked with a trainer, they always get your weight, they always take like pictures of what your current state of your body is because they need a measurement. They need a starting place, right? So if you maybe you don't spend $8,000 on vacations like me, but maybe you spend that much money on shopping or maybe that much money on like basketball games or like doing different activities. Who cares, right? It doesn't really matter. But you need to know how much you are spending just so you can have that base. And then you can kind of figure out where you can cut back. Now, I will say this is going to be very difficult if you don't have a goal in mind. So when I first met with her, she asked me, like, what are your money goals? Before I even let her know my job, before I let her know my salary, she asked me, like, what do you actually want out of life? Like, what do you see your rich life being? Like, what do you envision your actual dream life being? And so that was really where we started because that's my goal. That's what's going to force me to get serious about my spending. So if you don't yet have like a vision for your life, a vision for your money, I would say start there. And then after you do that, then you can start to get honest with how much you're spending. So you'll know, okay, I can kind of cut this out because again, I'm working towards a goal. And I will say that definitely helped me. And you need a financial planner who is actually like supportive. They're not supposed to be judging you or making you feel bad. They're just supposed to remind you of your financial goal and say, hey, in 20 years, where do you want to be? How much money do you want to have in your IRA or your 401k? How much money do you want as an emergency fund? Like all of these different things. And then they'll be like, okay, well, we know that's your goal, so this is what you need to do in order to get there. So, as always, what is one boring thing that you can do today to start fueling your rich life? I'm your host, Joy Hicks. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe.